Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Untitled Reviews. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are dramas. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Season 1, Episode 9 of Walker Independence. Great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So picking up in the aftermath of last episode where Abby's like, I just don't know for sure if Tom is the one that pulled the trigger. I don't 100% get why the team kind of bailed on her the way they did. I guess to some extent it's like, right, you've been leading the charge and we've been following you so wholeheartedly, and now you're telling us you're having second doubts because we built all this, we've done everything, we've looked into the Davidsons. I mean, yes, the Davidsons are up to some stuff, and that's the thing, even if Tom didn't kill Liam, that doesn't mean his family's not obviously neck deep into some shady bad dealings type of situation. But now Abby's questioning. It's like, right, I was so certain it was Tom, but then I saw someone that also fit the bill. So I don't know. Now you have Hoyt saying he should have just let him die. Augustus is just because I guess they've gone so above and beyond, and now it's like, now you want to bail when we're this close to the goalpost, essentially. And Kate kind of, once again, following her lead so much, it's kind of like, all right, well, fine, let's put our hands up in the air, throwing a white flag right now, just because, at least that's how I see it, but I still feel like it's not enough for them to kind of turn on Abby the way they did. But it's kind of, I think it's just like, right, you having these second guessing, these doubts. Now, after you got us all on board with the theory that it was Tom, you were so certain of it, we've gone about things your way, and now you're telling us, once again, we're this close to the goalpost, you want to pump the brakes. And it's understandable why she wouldn't be able to really tell between Tom and this guy, because it turns out the guy's name is Shane, and he's Tom's brother. So understandable why she wouldn't be able to she'd make that mistake, given it was dark. I mean, that's also why the killer doesn't know that she's Liam's wife, is because it was dark too. So it was kind of a two-way street situation. Plus they assume now it's also because of last episode. It's like, oh yeah, they all know that Liam's wife is, Mary's dead. So, but it's Shane's introduction, with the way this episode plays out and the way he kind of goes about doing his things, it seems like they're both very similar, but it seems like Shane is the one that's always messing up and Tom always has to clean it up, but it still feels like Shane's probably I don't know if he's the golden child in the family, but definitely Tom's the black sheep. And I think that creates a very interesting dynamic for them, where it's like, right, you're the one that screws up all the time. I have to clean it up. Yeah, I'm the one that has to prove himself time and time again to this family. Because later on, Shane is like, everything I do is for this family. So I think he's in a better standing with the family than Tom is. Because I've talked about it before. I do strongly believe Tom's biggest motivation is he wants to prove himself to his family, more so than anyone, prove himself to his father. Well, their father, so. I don't know if that came up or not about, I was about to say, I'm wondering, are they half siblings or something like that? What I was curious about, but it's nothing came up, so I don't know why. I was wondering, maybe if they were half siblings, maybe that play a little bit into why Tom, I'm assuming Tom's the older brother, so it's probably not a half brother situation. It's probably just no, we're full brothers, but it's just Tom is just seen as the screw up, the like I said, the black sheep of the family. And it's interesting how that all ties and flows into Kai's side of things, because obviously, because they're taking a break with Abby, Hoyt goes to Augustus about the Kai thing, kind of keeping Kate in the dark. It's just keep an eye on Kai as we try to figure out this Tong situation. So, the situation between Kai and Kate has always been kind of this sweet thing, because right, he likes her, and I think on some level she likes him too. It's just she's never pulled the trigger on it, because I think she's talked about it before, where it's just she doesn't want to I think she feels like she might ruin him in some shape or form, or at the very least ruin their dynamic with just everything she's dealing with. I guess that's why it's because she talks about it later. I wanted to tell you the truth, but I couldn't. You're the one person in this town she wanted me to be the most honest with and about. But breaking it down, Lily pops up, which I was like, oh, you were so certain she was dead. But he's like, right, I went back looking for you and I never found you. And it's like, right, they're reunited. And it's like, right, we could leave here. And Kai, that's the sad thing, because Kai had made a decision last episode that he was going to stay because this is his home. He's not going to run anymore. But it's like when it's Lily, she's asking him and begging him. It's like, right, I heard rumor. I was like, that's interesting that she's like, yeah, I heard them talking about you. I was like, that right there already seems suspicious. But then Kate's like, are you sure you should be jumping at this opportunity? It's like, her shoes is like, what about them? It's like, they're brand new. If someone's like on the run, would they really have the money necessary, like probably to buy brand new shoes? It's like, she could be playing you. And he's like you? He's like, I know you were a Pickerton. And it's like, he's like, yeah, like the fact is I hear things throughout town. So like maybe you were using me. You only showed up and around and were not extremely nice to me when you wanted something. She's like, no, it's not like that. Because legitimately, I think Kate does legitimately like him. That has kind of been showcased earlier on. But Kai is like, yeah, Lily's the woman he loves. Like, especially because he felt like he failed her before, believing she was dead. But it's like, she's alive now, so I got to take this opportunity. But when he goes back, she's like, oh yeah, I've already packed all your stuff. And she's like, yeah, so where's that money you stole from the Tonks? He's like, the guy that snake oil salesman took all of it. She's like, why were you so stupid? Like, the fact of the matter is, of course he was going to tell the Tongs anyway. And it's like, how long have you been working with the Tongs? Because when they escaped and they got separated, she went back. It's that kind of Stockholm Syndrome thing, just kind of like I was talking about a little bit with Mayor Kingstown this week. And I think it's, I mean, even more so in her situation, because it's like, right, I have nowhere else to go. You know, he's like, but what about our dream? She's like, that's all it was, a dream. Like the Tongs, they would have found us eventually, you know, and it would have been worse. But me coming back on my own, now they trust me. And, you know, I've always been very good at my job. And it's like, yeah, but the problem, obviously for Kai, it's like, going back, working with them, I'm being under their thumb, being the terrible people that they are. But for her, she's the one that sent the red envelope. It's like, you should have left town when you had the chance. You know, I was trying, because of our connection, because of everything between us, I was trying to spare you. And so Kai, you know, trying to make it a win-win situation is like, right, to kind of spare my own life. How about I talk to Tom? The Tom could get involved in this whole railroad situation. They can start making some income. They can benefit from this as well. And so Kai tries to talk to him, because the thing is, the Tongs are always already going, and his justification is the Tongs were already going to do this regardless. At least this way we kind of control the narrative, we can control the situation, because they want to kind of obviously lean into the illicitness of it. I think Tom wants to keep everything like, yes, it's that thing of you do shady things to get there, you do whatever you have to, you crush whoever you have to, and then you keep things legitimate going forward. Yet, yeah, it might have an illegitimate start, but going forward, you put all the legitimate money through it, you handle things legitimately, that way no eyebrows get raised like when all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed type of situation. So Kai goes to Tom about it, and obviously the rest of the squad gets involved to the point Gus ends up deputizing Hoyt, which he's like, hey, yo, I'm all about this. But then he gives Kate one. It's like, wait, no, that makes this less special. And Kate's like, I'm not ready to so quick to put on another badge. And he's like, oh, does that mean I get to have two of them? I'm like, you're such a child, Hoyt. I love it. But sadly, Shane went behind Tom's back and was doing, making a deal with the Tongs. Like, Tom was like, I'm not going to be like dealing with like the opium business. We're not going to drag that into my town. But Shane's like, my brother doesn't know what he's talking about. Because for Tom, it isn't just about impressing his father. He wants to impress other people too. He wants to be that sheriff. He wants to be that hero. He wants that recognition. He wants to have that positive note next to his name, because he never got it from his family, so he's trying to get it from his family and from other people, looking for love and everybody else, because I try but I can't love myself. What's the song called? Winter's Weathered by As It Is. So it kind of reminds me of that line. That line already resonates with me, so it's kind of like that. Like in Tom's case, it's like he's trying to fill a void in his heart, right? So He'd actually asked previously whether or not his brother was behind him getting attacked. Or more so, was it like a thing of, makes you wonder, was his family behind it because they were like dated? I was like, well, he wasn't doing anything that would kind of screw the pooch on what they were up to, but I don't know. Because I was wondering if it was, he was wondering if his brother like got in trouble and that kind of blew back on him like it typically always does. And ultimately, obviously Kate went to go check on Kai, and there were Tong men that showed up after Lily handcuffed him and left him there because he's like, right, how do I know they're not going to kill me afterwards? And she's like, oh, like after this we could have dinner and stuff like that, this the food you used to make. Because she's like, right, you don't sound the same, you sound different. He's like, yeah, I had to become a different person in order to blend in here to start a new life. But it's like, yeah, like what they have doesn't exist anymore. He still has feelings for it and coming to terms with that of like he even says, neither one of us is the same people we were anymore. Our circumstances led us down different paths, and he's become a different person just like she has. And so when the Tong were there, like obviously Kate like took care of one, but Kai took care of the other one. And in that moment, you could see it like Kate saw a darker side of him that she had never seen before. It's like, and for her, it's like the Kai she thought she knew disappeared because she's like, right, that's not even your natural accent. He's like, I had to blend in. Like if I appeared any differently, I would have been more suspicious. So it is a thing of like, yeah, he's putting on a certain accent to fit the role that people just assume him to be. So for Kate, it's like, right, do I even know you? Because he came in like a boss, came in with 2 bloody hatchets. It's like, your men are dead because Lily rather deal with Shane than Tom. And then came in was like, yo, you're leaving with 10% and your life. He's like, tell the Tong they can do, this is how things are going to work. But if they send any more men, they will die. It's like, yo. And that look of, it is that sad thing, I think, for Lily, like, despite it being a dream, it's like, because it is a dream. She wished it could have been that way, but it couldn't. I don't think, she just couldn't run like Kai did. You know, she was just like, what's the point? They're going to catch us eventually. And it's just like, now they're on 2 separate paths, and I don't know if there is any going back for them, sadly. I don't think there is, so. And sadly, it kind of screwed up things between him and Kate, because for Kate, it's like, I mean, for him, it's like, you kind of lied, you deceived, you pretended to be a different person, didn't you? She's like, yes, I wanted to tell you everything, but if you think you are the lesser of 2 evils, kind of, you're wrong. If you want to believe yourself to be the lesser evil. Because in his perspective, it's like the Tom we're going to come here and get mixed up in this. And for her, it's like, you're getting in bed with like Tom Davidson. Like, he's not a good person. Like, you're even willing to work for him. It's like, you are too. She's like, my circumstances are different. She's continued working with Tom just for the purposes of, I'm trying to dig up dirt on him and his family. And because Kai's still in the dark about everything they're investigating Tom for. So he doesn't know. So it's still kind of keeping him in the dark and not bringing him into the fold. But also Tom helped him, so he's going to be a little more receptive to Tom than other people would be. So you also had the scene between Gus and Hoyt, because it's like, hey, Hoyt kept being all about like shooting people and stuff like that, being ready to pull the trigger. But it's like, hey, you showed restraint in a situation where you chose caution. You arrested that Tong member rather than killing them. Like, ready, you know, you kind of assessed the situation and didn't immediately draw your gun. So it's like, yeah, you might make a decent lawman yet, but he's like, yeah, but I think I'd make a lousy lawman. You know, it's so interesting how they try and affect each other. It's like Hoyt's trying to get Gus to go a little dark side, and Gus is trying to get Hoyt to kind of join the light side of things, like, you know, as a lawman, you know. So it is interesting, the lawman criminal thing they've got going on. I brought it up previously, like the parallels between Cordell and Hoyt and Walker, but also the fact is that just the general theme of lawman and criminal, friends, frenemies, partners in crime and in justice. It's a complicated, interesting dynamic. Other than that, we had the whole Callian situation too, that because the aftermath of everything last episode, with the woman he met and everything that she went through and what future that might hold for his people, that's a thing. And he wanted to talk to Taza about it, but Taza's sick and obviously he's dying. And the conversation becomes, well, are you ready to take over as chief? Which he doesn't believe he is, because it's like, right, how can I be there for I don't know if I'm ready to lead our people, being the one responsible for making those decisions of whether or not they survive. Like, he's already kind of been put in that position already, but it's something else when it's kind of made official, when it's kind of being thrust upon you, and he has to decide whether or not he's willing to take up that mantle or not. But his people need him, so because he kind of feels like he hasn't been there for his people. But Taza had told him, you are in a very unique position, because he was like, you're basically of two worlds, them and kind of us. But for Callian, it's like, you saw what happened when despite all I've done for everyone in town, how they were just so quick to hang me. But it's like, yes, but you were able to change their mind, change how they felt. Who's to say you can't do it again? Because the lady had told Callian, like, when the time comes, he's going to need more, and he's going to need friends and allies for this fight. And I was just thinking, like, the immediate, group of, like, Gus, Abby, and Hoyt, and obviously throwing Kate and Kai in that as well. But it turns out, which Callian and Kai haven't had any scenes together, have they? I'm trying to remember. If they haven't, I don't think it's ever been any big, like, significant one type of situation, but regardless. But yeah, like, he'd need all their help and, to fight what's coming, especially because the railroad situation is tied up with the very same people that want to wipe him and his people out. So it puts him in this complicated situation. Though Gus does kind of, and especially at a point in time where he is lost, having lost Taza, the man who took him in after he lost his parents, their chief, their leader, is going down too. So much is happening all at once. But to kind of steady his ground a little bit, Gus is like, I've been asking around. I might have some leads to know where your sister is. So we'll see whether anything bears fruit on that front. But circling back to the Abby situation, she in fact actually ended up talking to Callian about her doubts about everything, which Callian, unlike the others, she's like, I'm sorry, like, to kind of spring like that, this truth on you like that. But he's like, it's okay. Like, the fact of the matter is, having doubt is a good thing, because it's about you are basically being willing and open to the truth. Because if you were just so, like, if you had no doubts at all, certainty is always a complicated thing, I think having some doubt, especially at this point in time, being like, maybe things aren't what I thought they were, I don't know. I think it's an interesting thing, but basically it's like, right, having doubt kind of allows you to kind of see things from different perspectives and kind of opens up your view. Because, like, before now, her view has been kind of narrow. It's been focused on Tom. And it's like, now, puts you in a position that puts you closer to truth. And that's all Abby wants at the end of the day, is the truth. So obviously she ended up getting close to Shane enough to know that he was up to some shady stuff. And even then, Abby ends up bringing this up to Tom later, being like, hey, I think he might have killed Liam. It's like, I heard Gus say what type of bullet it was. That just happens to be the same gun that Shane uses. And even Tom is like, yeah, Shane didn't always carry a gun, so for him to suddenly start carrying one, that's kind of weird. And so she bringing up all her doubts. She's like, yeah, like, your influence has kind of led me to want to kind of start looking at people differently. So there's a possibility, especially because he tried to go behind your back. And so your brother isn't who you really, he might not be who you think he is, or at the very least, he might be exactly who you think he is, that you have to always be a little weary around him. But Tom's like, oh, I think I know exactly where my brother is. And we find out Tom already got him. Just like he had that other guy strung up. Because I thought, like, oh, it's still going to be the same guy, but maybe his brother came and killed a guy or something. I thought that's what it's like. Nah, he strung his own brother up. It's like, shows you how jacked up the Davidson family is. And so he's like, right, I got some questions for you. Because now for him, it's like, right, did you kill Liam? Because he might be, once again, he's the one that they kind of go to about stuff because they can't trust Tom to do stuff. They're like, right, you're Tom, there's no guarantee he'll do things, he'll get the position on his own, so we need to give him a helping hand. So maybe Tom is completely in the dark about it might be kind of like Colton to some extent. Like, Colton was kind of caught up in like his family business, but he wasn't like Dan was up to some stuff. Denise didn't handle things the best way. Obviously, Gail was, Gail. So I wonder if that's going to be what happens with Tom over the course of this. Because, Tom's got a dark side to him. Let's not get that twisted. But he might not be the evil person they think he is. I mean, it is a thing of he is doing stuff for his family, but he might be the lesser evil of his family, which lesser evil is still an evil regardless. That thing is kind of the whole point Kate was trying to make to Kai. Hopefully things will kind of work out, because Kai left her the sketches he had been working on for like the new show that she was going to put on, and for her, she enjoyed them and liked them, but the problem is like now those are coming up after everything between her and Kai is different, and I think for her it's just kind of like, right, is the Kai I know gone, and I think just coming to terms with that, and Kai wondering whether or not he did the right thing even though he believed he did, and it's like, am I the good guy I think I am, or does he see himself that way? I don't know. He might see himself more so as a person of his own, born of his circumstances, not good nor bad. It's just, I'm a person surviving. So maybe there's a little bit of that in why him and Tom kind of ended up connecting. Well, besides like Tom helping him out, but still. He might feel almost like a kindred spirit with Tom. Like that might be a little bit of an element of what kind of a little spark of what kind of makes him a little similar in that regard. Either way, it's going to be interesting to see ultimately where all of this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.